Shalom, this is Levi Shore. Welcome back to Sweet and Good Torah. Okay, it's Sukkos. It's Zaman Simcha Seinu, the time of our happiness. We're going to find out about what makes us so happy on Sukkos. Welcome to the Sukkah. In Baltimore, it was in I think it was like in the 50s last night. It was super freezing. You may hear the heater on in the morning, but the sun's coming up. Baruch Hashem, it's warming up. We're going to look into some really deep secrets of Sukkos and the Torah. We're going to look into a little deeper view of the Kabbalah. All right, so we're going to start off at the beginning of Tishrei. We're going to start off at Rosh Hashanah, and the Arizal in his Shar Kavana, he says something really fascinating. He says, what are we doing on Rosh Hashanah? He says, what's happening is there's this din. There's all this spiritual energy coming into the world. Din, it's called Gavuros. And it's coming in and it's judgment. So the first day of Rosh Hashanah, he says it's very, very harsh judgment. And what we want to do is we want to sweeten the judgment. So we do all kinds of incredible things to sweeten the judgment. And one of the very first things we do is on Rosh Hashanah night, we have this great minhag called the Samanim, very famous minhag of dipping, the apple in the honey. And we wish everyone it's the opposite of what I have, sweet and good. So it's a good and sweet. We got the name from Good and Sweet New Year, and then we reversed it to Sweet and Good Torah. We want a good and sweet New Year, and we're trying to sweeten the din. So one thing we do is we eat all kinds of different like fruits and vegetables, and then we see these samanim, and they're for the good. So what we're doing is we're attaching ourselves, instead of the original chet of Adam Rishon, instead of attaching ourselves to the tree of knowledge, we're attaching ourselves to the Eitz Chaim, to the tree of life. And that begins to sweeten the din. Now then, the very important mitzvah that we do on Rosh Hashanah is the shofar blast. Okay, so where does the power of the shofar come from? And I learned this amazing thing in the Zera Kodesh. I believe it's Rabbi Naftali Tzvi Horowitz. He's from, the Hasidic sect of Ropshitz, I believe it's called. And just amazing. And I believe also incredible about him, I read that he was born on the day the Baal Shem Tov died. And I really think that he may be a Gilgul of the Baal Shem Tov, because the interesting thing about the Baal Shem Tov is he inspired all these different sects or dynasties of Hasidus, but he himself never really wrote many sefers. So he never explained it in his own words. And like the sefer on the collection of the Baal Shem Tov is just kind of like, well, one of his students says, oh, he said this, and one of his students says he said that, but it's not like a really thought out thing. But what's so amazing about the Zera Kodesh is it's the most deepest Kabbalistic concepts, but it's so simple and it's brought down to the most simple level. And it seems to me like it's finally like maybe if it is the Gilgul, the Baal Shem Tov is explaining like the deep concepts of Kabbalah and Hasidus in a very simple way, and that was his goal, to bring, the sod level of the Torah, the secret level of the Torah to every Jew, and then eventually through Mashiach, through the Jewish people, it will be taught to the whole world. Okay, so what is the power of the shofar? So the Zera Kodesh, he says something really incredible. Avraham, who, by the way, he's the first, look behind us, the first of the 7 Ushpizin, the guests we have in the Sukkah every night. So it begins with Avraham. And Avraham, he's the midah of chesed, of kindness, of love and kindness. And the Torah begins with chesed, and it ends with chesed. And it's the root of everything. Kindness is the root of everything. It's the root of how we're gonna, how we connect to Hashem. And it's like all the good that's going to be in the world. So Hashem asked him, gave him the biggest test, the most difficult thing, because Abraham's whole perception of Hashem is that Hashem is like the Baal Chesed, the Baal Rachamim. Hashem is like the master, the Lord of kindness and love and compassion and mercy. And then Hashem is commanding Abraham to go completely 100% against his midos, his life's work. He waited 100 years for this miraculous birth of his son Yitzhak, of his son Isaac, here that way, who's the second Ushpizim, who leads the second group of Ushpizim, and he asked him to sacrifice his son. It went against every understanding he had of Hashem, but he had this deep emunah that if Hashem was saying it, even though it was the most horrific thing he could possibly imagine, it's going to be for the good. And he was willing to do it. And he completely turned around all of his midos of kindness to Gevurah, to the other side of judgment and din and strength. And he was ready to shek the sun. And then Hashem says, nope, stop, wait. And then Hashem brings out the ram. And it's a very special ram. So the famous Midrash says, the left horn of this ram is the shofar that was blown at the Matan Torah, at the giving of the Torah. So the left side, the Gevurah side, the din side of the ram, is connected to the giving of the Torah, and the Torah is the Eitz Chaim, the tree of life. So the left side, even the left side of that ram, is connected to the giving of the Torah. And then the right side, the side of Chesed, the right horn, which is bigger than the left horn. So it's very interesting. So Chesed, kindness, is much more powerful than judgment, and din, right? Much more powerful. And so that horn's bigger, and that's going to be the shofar gadol. That's going to be the great shofar that Hashem is going to make sound around the world when he's ready to send Mashiach. And so what happens? So what's the great power of the shofar? What happened is Hashem commanded Abraham to go from chesed and completely turn it over to Gevurah. So then when we hear the 100th shofar blast on Rosh Hashanah, what happens? All the din, all the Gevuros, all the judgment, now the shofar has the power to turn the Gevurah into chesed. I think I went the opposite way. I think I went the right way, but the camera's going to show everything backwards. We went but the shofar can take it from left to right, and then, now it can turn the din, the judgment, into kindness and love. And that's the power of the shofar. So then the 100th blast of the shofar that we listen to, the mitzvah to listen to them on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, now it begins to lighten the din. So the Arizal says on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, it's harsh din, and only the handful of tzaddikim are able to bear that kind of judgment, that kind of scrutiny. So Hashem only judges them on the first day. And then after we've lightened the din, then the Arizal says that on the second day, then most people, everyone else is going to be judged on the second day where it's a soft din. And this is said by Rabbi Dessler in the Miksav Eliyahu. And that, thank Baruch Hashem that we're judged on the second day where it's not as intense, it's lighter din, and we have the merit of the first day. Okay, so then another 100 blasts of the shofar, and now we've really broken up the din. And then through the Eseres Yemei Teshuvah, the 10 days of Teshuvah from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur, now we slowly start to fix each day of the week. We do Teshuvah, we're turning, once again, we're turning the Gevurah into Chesed, we're turning the Aveira potentially into a mitzvah. If we do complete Teshuvah, even a sin could become a mitzvah. It's incredible. Even the darkness of the Aveira attached to the Klipos, which hide the Or Ein Sof, hide the infinite light from Hashem flowing through the 10 Sephiros. Even though it's attached to that, the Aveira is attached to the darkness that's hiding the light, we can break the shell, we can break it and now release the light again. And if we do complete the Teshuvah, even an Aveira can become a mitzvah, and it becomes the Or again, the Or Ein Sof, the infinite light. Incredible things. And then, so on the 10th day, on Yom Kippur, it's a great day. We get kapara, and now finally, the Gevurah is going away. Okay, so then it's beautiful. Then the Arizal says, what are we doing on Sukkos? What are we doing on Chag HaSukkot? It's amazing stuff. Now everything is just bringing down the Hasidim. This is why it's such a time of happiness. It's the Zman Simchasenu. It's a great time of happiness. And all we're doing is bringing down Hasidim, bringing down the kindness now, the love and kindness into the world. So we live in the Sukkah for 7 days, and that just brings down the Hasidim. It brings down kindness into the world. It brings in the Or Ein Sof. It flows into the physical world from the highest spiritual worlds. And then when we shake, I should have brought it. We shake the Arba Medium here. Maybe if you wait real quick, I'll go. Okay, and we're back. Isn't that a beautiful Esrog? Baruch Hashem this year. It's such a beautiful one. And then we put the 4 species together, the Arba Medium, and then they represent every type of Jew. When we bring it all together, we have total unity. So the Aravos on the left, they represent the Jews who don't have so much Torah and don't have so much mitzvos, and they have no taste and no smell. It's just like the willow leaves. Then the Chadassim, they have a great smell, but they don't have a taste. So this is just representing, I think, the Jews that just have a lot of mitzvahs, but not a lot of Torah. I forgot exactly which way it goes. And then the lulav, the spine, this represents the other thing. This is a date palm tree, so it has the taste of the dates, but not the great flavor. And this represents, I think, the Jews with the Torah, but not the mitzvahs. I forgot which one the Chadassim and the lulav go. And then the great esrog is the Jews, the Siddiqim, that have like a lot of Torah and a lot of mitzvahs. But we bring the whole Jewish people together. And it's very important to have everything in an eged, like in a Gouda, like a joining. Everything has to be joined. And here, let me get it. And then we wave it in all 6 directions. And then it says, this brings down the Hasidim. This brings down, up. This brings down all the great, chesed from above, the great spiritual flow. And then this is connected to really having great weather, like it's connected to the rains and the winds, and having gentle weather that's going to be good for growing the crops, and and growing all the food for the year, and it's bringing blessing into the world. And then what's really special about Sukkos is, like, when we have the Beis Hamikdash, when we have the temple, and B'ezrat Hashem will have it again soon, we actually bring one korban, one offering, for all the 70 nations. So for all the nations, those are the root nations of all the world. I know now we have like more countries than the root nations, but we bring blessing to all the nations of the world. It's a great time, and this is why it's the Zman Simchasenu. This is why it's the time of great happiness, great joy, and we're just bringing chesed, kindness into the world. So Rav Yaakov Weinberg Tzal, who is the Rosh Hashiva of Ner Yisrael, or as it's officially called, Ner Israel Rabbinical College, he said something really incredible. I listened to his tapes while I was there in Kollel, and he said that, what does it mean? Like, it's the time of our happiness. Do we magically become happy, just because, it's Sukkos? He said, no, it's a time we can learn how to be happy. And what we do is we can go out to the Sukkah, and we see we don't need the house. We can, we don't need all the physical things that we have, all the materialistic things that we have, like the big house, the big car, the fancy vacations. We can live in a simple hut. We see that Hashem's taking care of us. We see that Hashem is, sustaining us. And we're closer to the Maisa Breshis. We're closer to the creation. Let me see if I can get you the view here. It's a beautiful view I have outside the window here. You see all the nice trees, and it's just a beautiful time, and we're just reconnecting. We're closer to each other. We're closer to the Maisa Breshis, and it's just a great time of happiness, and it's fantastic. So the Zera Kodesh, he said something really incredible. He said the gematria of the word Tov, which means good, is 17. And so he says the Aseres Yemei Teshuvah. We talked about the 10 days of Teshuvah. And then we have the 7 days of Sukkos, the Chag HaSukkot. The 7 days we're living in the Sukkah. And you add them together, and you get 17. And then it hit me. So it's the first day of Yom Tov here, of Sukkos. It hit me, October the 7th is 10/7. And even though it was this horrible massacre, like we haven't seen, like a modern day 21st century pogrom, but it's interesting, its number is 17. And we're slowly starting to see the good that's come out of this horrible event. And we hear great stories of, like, some of the hostages, like they began to reconnect to Hashem. They began to daven. And then when they got out, they took on, started celebrating Shabbos and keeping kosher and putting on tefillin and just all these tremendous things. And we see a great change in Tel Aviv. On Yom Kippur, there was thousands of people singing and dancing after Ne'ilah, whereas just a couple years ago, before October the 7th, there was literally protesters protesting people davening on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, praying on Yom Kippur, praying on Rosh Hashanah. There's protesters getting in their face, saying, no, how dare you, stop, And now we see it's starting. It's starting to spread. And I really believe the goal of this, where's the healing, where is going to be the great good that's going to come out of this October the 7th? I see the anti-Semites rising up all around us, and it's bringing us back together again. We're becoming, the Jewish people, we're becoming united again, like the Arba Minim, like the four species. You know, we're bringing the whole Jewish people back together again, and I believe that at some point, maybe B'ezrat Hashem, it would be great if it happens this year, but at some point, what's it mean we're going to dance again? Not we're going to dance again at a Nova, music festival. We're all going to dance again on the day it was. It was Simchas Torah. And the whole Jewish people are going to unite again, and we're going to reunite. We're going to wake up and get fired up again with the Torah and the mitzvahs, and the whole Jewish people are going to dance on Simchas Torah. We're going to greet Mashiach, and I believe there's going to be great good that comes out of this great evil. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're having a great Sukkos, and I hope to see you back again soon on Sweet and Good Torah.